said it was the election.
So just give a brief introduction to this. This allows for transfer of IPv4 and ASN resource only between AFRINIC and other regions. Recipient must demonstrate need for the resource. Legacy resource only transferred will lose their status and fall under RSA. Legacy resource once transferred will lose their status and fall under the RSA. Then the reserved resource cannot be transferred. So there's going to be a reserve. So we're going to invite Alain to present the proposal. Thank you.
Okay, so this is Alain Aina. I'm here to present about the third transfer policy my friend Jody was advocating against. And I told you yesterday that today I'm going to show a different face. We want to have some fun, right? This policy also is talking about how we inter-area transfers. And the problem statement look a bit like what you hear this morning, but there is a critical and important difference. Okay, we will soon run out of V4, okay, and some entity will IP address, IPv4 and ASN, which they may not get from AFRINIC or from the regions. The other aspect of the problem we're trying to address is that the current intra-area transfer policy allow any IP allocation or assignment to be transferred. For example, the IP we allocate to the critical infrastructure, for example, the exchange point, the root server operators can also be transferred, which we think is not a good practice because these are resources for critical infrastructures. We should not allow them to be transferred. No, sorry. The current intra-area policy transfer that not allow ASN, then on the list, people said, oh, we need provision for transfer for ASN, especially what we, the 2 byte ASN, because now we have 4 byte ASN, but the old one, the 2 byte ASN are sometimes needed, and some people felt like we should allow the transfer. But then, how do we solve the problem? Okay, we agree that we may need some number to come in, and we all agree that we should not deplete what we have. So this is the main difference. We want to bring some number in without depleting our pools. This is the main difference between this policy and the other, this proposal and the other proposal. So we came up with a solution. So we came up with a solution saying that, okay, we will allow in the ASN to be transferred, but through certain rules. Then to do that, we created the categories of resources, different categories. Because right now, if you look at how the numbers are managed, we have the legacies. I hope everybody knows what we mean by legacy. If you don't know, you should ask Madhvi. Then there are the non-legacy are the resources given to AFRINIC to be distributed for the region. So we have this, okay. And part of these numbers also came from what we call the early registration transfer. When AFRINIC get accredited, we transfer some numbers from RIPE, ARING, EPINIC, etc. Plus. So we created different categories, and we are saying that only we will allow any numbers to come in, but only legacy, and the numbers we transfer from outside will be eligible to go. This is our proposal. We will allow legacy from our region to go outside, okay? But any numbers we transfer from outside in are eligible to go. I want to stop there, give a couple of seconds for people to think about the solution. We accept any, but any should come in, but going out, only legacy, okay? And the numbers we transfer from our side will go. So that means we will not touch the AFRINIC managed resources. Okay, let me now show the detail. So these are the category. We have the AFRINIC pool, what I just mentioned. Then we have the special, what we define as special purpose pool, all the reserves, critical infrastructures, and everything we distribute in the last /8 are not eligible to be transferred. Now, if you get IP from the last, in a soft landing, this is defined as special purpose pools. Then we have the legacy. The legacy are IP address allocated to members in our regions, okay, before the creation of the registry system. Some of them has been transferred, and from recent statistics, I think we had about 1 million legacy space. Then we have a category of resource we call others, which mean any resource we transfer from the other regions. Then the policy said, when we start, we will mark the resources. The AFRINIC pool, we mark them as regional. The special purpose pools reserve. Legacy, we mark them as legacy. Then the others, we mark them as global. So, then we have, here I'm just defining the rules of the transfer, but you can read it. I'm not going to read it, but if you look at it, based on the source, and the rule are based on where is the source, where is the destination. We are saying, for example, that if the source and the recipient are AFRINIC, then we allow regional, global, legacy, everything inside the continent, we allow the transfer. But we only mark the legacy we transfer among ourselves become global to allow the global to go. If the source is the legacy holder and the recipient is an AFRINIC members, we allow the legacy, then it becomes global. If the source is the legacy holder and the recipient is in other regions, we allow the legacy to go. If the source is AFRINIC member and the recipient is in other region, then we allow anything to come. Okay. And if the source is from other regions and the recipient is also here, then we allow any to come. Then we mark, sorry, I made a mistake. The 3.3.4, if the source is AFRINIC member and the recipient is in other region, then only global goes. Then the 3.3.5 saying that if the source is from other regions and the recipient is AFRINIC members, we allow any. We don't care whether it's legacy or non-legacy. It can come to Africa. Then in 3.3.6, we are saying that some of the reserve block are not eligible for transfer. Whether you are in, the source is in, recipient is in, or whatever. If it is reserve space, no transfer. Then we had the conditions on the resource to be transferred. Okay, the minimum size. Okay, then the resource must qualify for the type. Because now we have global, legacy, and regional. Okay, then the resource must qualify for the type of transfer based on the source and the source and the recipient. And then the resource must be covered by AFRINIC policy, okay, after it has been transferred. So any resource being transferred to AFRINIC is automatically covered by AFRINIC policy. That means if you are legacy, you will not be legacy when you come inside. Condition on the source, normal, must be the owners, no dispute, okay? And then if the resource is from other regions, then we follow the condition defined in the other region. Then condition on the recipient, must accept our policies, sign RSA, okay? Then the recipient, okay, that does not have prior allocation should demonstrate a plan, a need, okay? If it is ASN, then they must meet the criteria for ASN assignment. So if you already have allocations, then you have to demonstrate that the existing numbers, how you use the existing numbers, so, and then prove the evidence that you comply to the policy to cover the existing allocations. Then if the recipient is in the other regions, so the conditions in the other region. The policy also makes some provision, but this provision is just to clarify, because there are many things going on to make sure that only transfer which has happened according to this policy will be accepted. And if through some internal business, you got something you call transfer which is not being approved by AFRINIC, you are at risk, because all the transfers must be approved by AFRINIC, okay? And just to make sure that people understand what is going on, to avoid that you enter a certain business, then you discover later that you are not supposed to do. So these are just to clarify things. Revision history. This is we are the second versions, okay. Then the second versions we had a call with staff. And with the co-chair, I remember Abdul Karim, you were not there, but Abdul Karim, you were on that call to clarify a certain point. And then this led us to the new versions. And you can see the revision history. The staff asked for certain clarifications. And this is what we end up. Open issue. We had there was some discussion on the list. And the only open issues is the one raised by Tayo. Where is Tayo? Okay. Tayo has raised the things, and we had the discussions, and some people proposed text, when the loan proposed a text. But I think the main confusion point seems to be is coming from the assignment part. And the concession I want to give here is to delete this part. Make it simple. I want to delete this part, simple. So I think I addressed the Tayo, and which is the only open issue we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alain. And I would like to invite Madhvi for
Thank you, Alain and co-chairs. Madhvi from AFRINIC to give the impact assessment on the AFRINIC number resources transfer policy. Yes, to add to what Alain was saying is the ambiguities in the language were addressed in the version 2 after discussion with the authors. Okay, and so our staff understanding is ASNs shall be transferable both inter and intra RIL transfers. Legacy IPv4 space in the AFRINIC region can be transferred out, okay? And transferred IPv4 space from other region into AFRINIC can also be transferred out. So we write there, okay? And number resources are non-transferable and not assignable to any organization unless AFRINIC has expressly and in writing approved a request for transfer. Now, the understanding of staff for that statement is AFRINIC's approval is usually documented electronically in the tickets for which transfer requests are received, evaluated, and processed and executed. Okay. We also understand that IPv4 addresses and ASNs can be transferred only if the transfer requests are evaluated against and in accordance with this policy, and that AFRINIC does not recognize transferred outside of approved transfer policies and requires organizations holding such resources to return them to the appropriate registries. This means that any transfers that happened outside any approved AFRINIC policies are valid. The recipient organizations will be required to return the space to AFRINIC or the other RIRs. I'll skip, yeah. For this slide, the last statement, the policy requires some categorization, what they call marking in the policy proposal, that will in turn require AFRINIC to tag currently delegated resources and available resources. All right, there are a couple of clarifications from staff for the authors. In the section 1, the statement in section 1 regarding the current intra-RIR transfer policy allows all types of IPv4 location assignments to be transferred. This is explicitly not mentioned in the policy. Yeah, it's specifically not written anywhere, okay, but it's just a statement that says that relates what's happening. And the other clarification that we'd like to request from the authors is regarding mergers and acquisitions. If this policy, does this policy proposal dictate the conditions or state the conditions for M&As, and or will the guideline, the merger and acquisition guidelines that we have at the moment supersede the policy? So what we'd like from the authors is to tell us clearly whether AFRINIC should cease the usage of the M&A guidelines if the policy passes. Okay, and yeah, so the other inter-RIR, the other RIRs, so for inter-RIR transfer policies to happen, okay, a list of RIRs with compatible policies will be beneficial, because I don't think the other RIRs specifically state AFRINIC in their inter-RIR policies, okay? And something very minor here, there's a definition in 3.11, it does not, it's talking about resources, but you do not say IPv6. We do understand that IPv6 is excluded, but a definition of resources in the policy statement that excludes IPv6, well, staff find it an omission. Okay. On this, for me, okay.
Have you, as a staff, or also the authors, verified which aid in the reciprocity of this policy?
Well, our statement here is a list of RIRs with compatible policies would be beneficial. I have not, personally, I haven't checked with other RIRs.
Alan, have the authors verified the reciprocity which I aid in?
Yes, we didn't see a need, because for us, we think this policy is reciprocal and compatible.
Okay, I did, and they told me not. So that's the reason I had previously two policy proposals, one comprehensive, the one that I presented this morning, and the other one which was only for legacy. And one of the reasons I withdrew the legacy here in LACNIC was because talking with Erin, they told us this is not reciprocal, there is no reciprocity, so we will not allow transfers from Erin to AFRINIC if you approve this policy. The other reason was also because when I proposed both policies was to show the community, I explained this in an email a couple of days ago, when I proposed that to the community was, first, the community can choose, second, the community understand the differences. So if we reach consensus in this proposal, we should be aware that we will not be able to receive resources from the region that is actually providing resources to all the regions.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, yes. Second.
Yes, I think just to clarify, there is one different aspect in this policy. We are not only allowing legacy to go, we are also allowing any numbers we transfer in to go. It makes difference. It's not allowing only legacy to go. And we would like two things. We would like that staff, okay, to talk to whatever you want and confirm that you did it, you talk to them personally. But we think, we as a community, if we think this is good for us, okay, nothing prevents the other people to change the policy. And I don't want to by default, we put a barrier in front of us. If this is good for Africa, okay, even if one of them think it's not reciprocal, nothing's prevent them for amending their policy to serve us. So I think we should also not put the firewall in front of us on these things.
Thank you very much. I'm going to open the mic now. But I'm going to just take 3 comments from the front mic and 3 comments from the mic behind, and you have just 1 minute, please. 1 minute each.
I started with the front.
Yes.
Very much. The name is Daniel. I just want to draw attention quickly that the way we are going, I see us pushing AFRINIC to become a regulator or a controller rather than a facilitator and a custodian. So that's where we have to be careful. We keep pushing. I keep hearing the word control. So I thought I should draw attention to that. But I'm wondering what powers do we have over legacy resources? So if we don't have any power over it, I don't see the reason why we're even thinking of transfer of legacy resources. It happened before AFRINIC was there. And so literally this policy is not addressing anything. If you are talking of legacy resources, things are going on with legacy resources that you don't have control over, and you are likely not to have control over. So I don't see any inter-RII transfer as far as this policy is concerned. And for that reason, we don't need to bring in the entries and into the database to mark up what the resources are. So for this basis, except otherwise, I'm not supporting the policy. Thank you.
Next.
The back or the front?
Yeah, your time has started.
Ça marche. Donc pour moi, je vais donner un petit exemple.
I'll start by giving examples. First of all, I like to. You say that there are people who want Africa by giving IPs. You're giving to us what we already had. You're giving to us what was already what you had. the mere will with the name of exchanging data and ideas with Africa. Yes, saying that you're helping us, but we need to have our own IP, own legacy. But for that to happen, we need to have legacy. I believe that you're not creating things that will be accepted by other organizations. Why they're not going to accept us?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very happy that at least this policy has come to table because it provides an even ground for the rate of development of networks and infrastructure within Africa. To make even things more clear is that it's okay, legacy spaces, we can play around with the transfer of these resources. But if we look at the main core assigned number to the region, those ones, at least I'm against those resources being transferred. But in case we run out of the resources in the future, then let's allow them to bring their resources in the future to Africa, because that means that they will be in support of the development of Africa. I would like to just simply be sure that what Jody mentioned, that ARIN may not be able to transfer their resources here, as you had mentioned before. So that means that clearly, if they are in for the development, then why can't they be able to transfer these resources here? Unless otherwise, I would like probably Elaine to clarify more, because it seems the members here are confused about what is legacy space, what are these other resources. It will help them to understand this policy much better. Otherwise, I'm in strong favor of this policy. Thank you.
Can we take the mic at the back?
Okay, Luca from Nigeria. I have certain reservations about this policy. First of all, Jody mentioned some key points that we really need to consider. You talked about, he talked about ARIN, which is one of the RIRs that have the most transfer to other distant regions. This policy, it's not going to allow us to be able to transact with them. It is a policy that is targeted at those that those that don't have much to give to us, or don't even have to give to us. So I think it's just an effort in futility. So that's one of. Secondly, a kind of discrimination about the types of resources to transfer. You understand? It really causes an issue. You're willing to give this and you're not willing to give that. It's really an issue, and I think you need to look at that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, it's Pascal from Federal University. I think maybe I will try to answer the question that was posted to Jody. Maybe I think the problem why there will be reciprocity might be because of the subclass classification you have done with the existing address. Maybe, I don't know, because you have added, I think you have added extra classes, if I'm sure, Alan, in the classification of addresses, probably. Okay, not correct. Go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Okay. What happens is that the policy manual in ARIN says specifically that they are only going to transfer resources with regions that met the same conditions, and they do not restrict their policies to legacy. So if you have a region that allows only legacy to go out and allow everything to go in, as this proposal is suggesting, ARIN explicitly says they will not allow any transfers with this region. That's the thing. I hope that's more clear now.
Okay, thank you, Jody. Yeah, so for me, the sub-classification of more of the classes, I think makes it a little bit more complex. Then one more thing, you said, so if a recipient who does not have, who cannot demonstrate that he can get resources that means the recipient cannot get results. For me, I would feel maybe if you can say he can demonstrate probably in particular space of time, maybe 6 months or 1 year, that would be okay. But saying if he cannot demonstrate at all based on what you wrote, that means the person does not get approved. So I don't think I'm in support with that, with the current state of the policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We go to the mic at the back, and that will be the last comment.
Chair, you hear me? Yeah, my name is Maimuna Job. I'm from Senegal. I would like to fully support this policy because I think it can help AFRINIC to have a process, a clear process, an understanding process to transfer the resource IS and IP in the region and outside of the region. Comme je l'avais dit ce matin, transférer.
As I said this morning, transferences take resources and change between the source and destination. Who transfer is taking the resources to a destination. I think this clear and detailed policy. What is the source? What is the destination? Regarding the source and the destination, how the transference could be done, will it bring more visibility? It will help us to be more credible before the outside. I'm not sure about what George said, that people will not accept the transparency. I'd like Jordi to give us the references. What is the text based in which we can really rely on? We can verify, it will help us. I believe that this policy, it is giving to us a line how to go on managing our resources to different part of the world, however, being the master of resources. Those ones that have the allocated resources, they should manage it in a better way, but continuing transferring, taking in account the rules, so the rules should prevail. Otherwise, we will have to pay for things that we did not execute it.
Thank you very much. So what is going to happen is I'll allow the author to respond. We can't take everybody.
30 seconds, please. 30 seconds. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. My name is Christian from Nigeria. I looked at the legacy transfer, and to me, I think economically it is fine for AFRINIC. Yes, to other regions it may sound selfish, but I'm trying to advise us not to throw away the policy. Let's allow the policy to go. If other people accept our terms and conditions, so why do we kill ourselves? So because for me, I think he's trying to be careful, he's trying to be conservative, but then the other side may sound selfish, but then let's try to accommodate his view, and if there is any touch, you can just touch those areas, but I think his policy is smart and clean. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alan, can you please respond?
To mention, this is section 8.4 of 18 policy manual. Reciprocity. There are different.
Please, gentlemen at the mic, can we please sit down? Gentlemen and ladies, can we please sit down?
I feel sorry for that lady, but it feels good.
No. Can I? Okay, so I think the chair said the queue closed, so I can quickly. So I'm not going to You know, I've been saying for a while that we should stop policy authors against community. We bring idea. If you like it, you own the idea. So I'm not going to argue. Okay. Then I think all those who find the idea interesting. Also, I don't want to agree too much on what is reciprocity. We should leave it to AFRINIC, CEO or Madvi to talk officially to ARIN and come back to us. I don't want us to go into interpretations, okay, because reciprocity, we all can look for reciprocity in a dictionary and have our own. What we are saying here is that we allow legacy to go, and any numbers you bring in Africa is eligible to go outside. So any business who come to Africa to do network, okay, if they want to go, these numbers are also eligible to go. So we are not only allowing legacy to go or any number who come, we lock. No. Okay. Then I think the main thing is control. Okay, this is from my brother from the other mother. I don't know why anytime I speak, you always trying to attack. that is Daniel. That is Daniel. Yeah. No, Daniel, you know AFRINIC role. I'm not adding any problem here. AFRINIC has been approving the need, etc., etc. Okay, so for me, this is normal business. And we all need to also remember, and I think Madvi can confirm, the normal allocation is different from transfer. Transfer requires a steady process, checking the source, going through documentation, etc., etc. It requires certain things, though it's different. So that's why we believe that AFRINIC should have a role in approving the transfer to make sure that everything is clean, everything is clear for people. Then the power of legacy, my brother again. Since in the morning, we've been hearing that ARIN has legacy to give to Africa. So ARIN has control of legacy. Do you think ARIN has control of legacy? But we've been told that ARIN has some legacy they want to give to Africa. We too, we have some legacy. The problem with the legacy is that the legacy are free to move outside the RIR system, but most of them want to join the RIR system to be transferred because the legacy to move from one region to the other regions, you need inter-RIR. If you are moving the regions, that is fine. You can move your legacy, but if you want to do a legacy from one region to the other regions, they need inter-RIR transfer policy. So this is where the thing is. So the legacy holders need this kind of policy. And if ARIN is able to give us a legacy, so the same, then we also able to give them legacy. Daniel, I was talking to you. So Chair, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Helen. So what we're going to do now is I want to give a summary of what has happened. And first of all, I think is there anybody in this room that still think we do not need a transfer policy? One thing we have been able to establish is that we need a transfer policy, but one thing we've not been able to agree on is how does the transfer policy, how is it going to work? We have on the table, and how and when exactly. It's the how and the when that we've not been able to agree on. Am I correct? Now I want to give the floor to anybody in this room that have not spoken on these three policies today to come and give us what is your own opinion. If you have not spoken on any of the three transfer policy and you want to say something, I want to give the floor to you to come and give your opinion. Okay, I don't see anybody. No. Somebody that has not said anything on the transfer.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Lucky Masilal again. I just want to raise a principal thing in policy development. We have a process, but I want to talk about the principal thing. Policies must always be developed to address a burning issue. If there is no burning issue, if there is no problem statement, then policies are not a necessity. As an example, if in life we all travel at 60 kilometers in a 60-kilometer zone, there will be no need for a policy on that or police people waiting with cameras to stop you when you exceed a speed limit. It is when people transgress that you have policies. In our instance here, there is nothing that is compelling that has been brought forth that I had that necessitates this transfer policy to be considered. Therefore, as a caution for us into the future, let us be cautious on not looking to give away our precious assets. We need also to be planning for our future as a continent and be cognizant of what we need to be achieving into the future. I want to thank you again for the engagement, open and transparent engagement. And I hope we can keep doing this as a community. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I want to go to the next question. Is there anybody that has spoken on one policy to support one policy that is ready to support any of the other policy apart from the one you have supported earlier? Apart from Jody. We have 1, 2, 3 policy on transfer policy. If you've supported one before and you think based on the argument of one of the authors, you are ready to support another one of the policy, can you please come out and let's have your views?
Yes, because I supported the first.
Mic is on, Chair. The mic is on.
And I could see the near relationship with that of Jody. So if I will give support, I will give support on the basis that there will be a harmonization and a single policy comes out of that, because the nearness of resolution is more between those two than the third one. That's just my support.
Mr. Chair, I have not supported any policy on transfer policy yet. So I think I'll use this time to support what I consider is the most appropriate policy. And it happens to be the one that is being discussed. And so I'll give my reasons if you allow me. Please don't listen to Jody. I'm being very frank because Jody is trying to act like God. Okay, when we can actually also talk to ours. Okay, he's trying to tell you that he has taken your role and gone and verified, and he's telling us, whenever I see something like that, I know that something is not right. You should take the charge, and you, working with staff, should go and verify what is compatible and what is reciprocal. Okay, I think that for me, that's very, very important. Your role is being usurped, and I have an issue with that. Okay. Now, secondly, I want you to know that every IRR has some space that is not included in this transfer policy. Every IRR has a space that's not included in the transfer policies. In other words, it's not like everything is there, boom, come and collect. It's not like that. Okay, it's not like that at all. Because they always have some reserve space and so on and so forth. So from that point of view, this policy is actually very compatible because it also says that these ones can move this way, not the way that everything moves, which is the same as all of them.
Thank you very much, Dr. New. Doctor said we should not listen to you, Jody. We are not going to listen to you. Not because he said that, but honestly, I just don't think it's necessary. We'll take a break now. We'll go for a coffee break. At the end of the coffee break, when we come back, we are now going to go through all the policies we have looked at today, and we announce our decision. We are going to go on a break, and we're going to be back here by 5 minutes after 4 p.m. Thank you so much.
policy to go?
Yes. Okay. And we'll discuss the last policy on the proposal before the open mic.